Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Today, it's the feature, the end of the week for me, the last live stream for my week, and I thought I would go off with a bit of a bang. We'll do some Mass Effect 5e. For those of you who don't know what Mass Effect is a video game, and if you wanted to play in a fantasy world, that's easy to do. But if you want to play in a science fiction world, well, Mass Effect is it. Now, I played this video game a long time ago. I can't play video games now. I'm going to put up a poll. I really like Mass Effect. I kind of like the idea of playing in that world as well. And using a rule system you already know is always nice if you can use Dungeons & Dragons 5e rules. Well, why not? So grab some food, some drink, get comfortable. I'm going to go over this. This should be fairly swift and quick. And then I'm going to show you the document. So I'm going to talk about it first, and then I will show you the document. That's how we normally do it here, so this is how I'm going to do it again. So for those of you who were looking forward to a Mass Effect game, I think it's on the cards today. Anyway, let's get started, shall we? Hi, welcome to How to RPG. My name is Fred Wheeler, and today I want to talk about role-playing games. Let's talk about Mass Effect. That's right. Apparently somebody was brave enough and had enough time to actually make a free fan-made Mass Effect 5e compatible supplement. So there is actually only one free fan-made Mass Effect 5e compatible document available, and it is using, as you would expect, the Dungeons & Dragons 5e rules. Now, the first thing I'm going to say is this is a large document. It is not a small project. It is created by Luke Eshelman, and he is the creator of the Mass Effect 5e supplement. He doesn't appear to have any supporter creators. He seems to have done most of the work himself, but I could be wrong about that. Sometimes creators, when they make these things, use forums and stuff like that and get their ideas from other people as well. The book is professional with a few layout errors I did notice. There is some missing artwork, and there are some sort of large blank spaces. But I'm not going to give you a hard time. If you've made it for free and you made no money off it, then hey, you did a pretty good job. There are 253 pages in this PDF. The artwork and illustrations are a mix of sketch and professional color images, and possibly stuff that's been ported over from other sources. The quality of the art style changes throughout the book, from basic to professional. There is a color galaxy map provided in the supplement, so if you wanted the galaxy laid out for you, it's there in a map form. There is a table of contents. There is unfortunately no index, and yes, it absolutely needed to have an index, and it doesn't have one. So you do have to do a lot of flipping through to find stuff. The book is complete. It has everything that you really need, apart from the index. Race choices. Now, I'm going to get a lot of this wrong, and there are a lot of races that you can play. So there is the Angara, Assari, Veteran, Drill, Alcor, Gith, the Hanah, Human, Grogan, Prothean, Corian, Salaran, Turian, Volis, and the Vorcha. So quite a few different races that you can play in this campaign world. There is a range of new classes that have been designed specifically for Mass Effect, such as the Adept, the Engineer, the Infiltrator, the Sentinel, the Soldier, and the Vanguard. And you'll probably be very familiar with these if you've played the video game. There are some new backgrounds for the Mass Effect campaign world, and that is the Addison, the Bureaucrat, the Colonist, Crewman, Doctor, Entertainer, the Escort, Experiment, the Faction Agent, Pilot, Scholar, Scraper, System Op, Urchin, and the Veteran. There's an extensive range of weapons, armor, and equipment. There are somewhere in the vicinity of 124 new types of armor, with additional upgrades, like plenty of additional upgrades. There is 132 new types of weapons for the fantasy campaign world, with many upgrades as well. There is about 21 different toolkits and workshops that you can use. Everything from conducting research to building spaceships. There are 16 new feats offered, with a few options there. I think they're trying to sort of nail down the not the fantasy but the science fiction aspect of this world with those feats. There are 20 new science fiction vehicles to utilize. So if you wanted spaceships, you've got spaceships. Yes, they're there. There are specific spaceship combat rules that are covered in detail, so that if you wanted to engage in a spaceship battle, unlike some other books that I know, you can actually do that because they actually give you the information you require. There are 80 new spells for Mass Effect. Now you might be thinking, hang on, what do you mean spells? Well, there is potentially magic in this world as well, and they have put that there as an option. There are 80 new spells. There is a bestiary section. It has 69 different creatures, monsters, robots, and aliens to select from, all from the Mass Effect video game. There's a lot of little extras for the Mass Effect universe, by the way. And I would like to point out that this book is designed in such a way that you do not need anything else. So you do not need to have the Player's Handbook for Dungeons & Dragons 5e to play this game, because they have incorporated all of the rules, whether it's for combat, making ability checks, dealing with any aspect of the game, advantage, disadvantage, everything is there. It's all included. It is a complete package. You only need this book and nothing else, whether you are a player in a Mass Effect world or you are a game master. Everything is included. This supplement is quite reasonable for a Mass Effect campaign book. I was quite impressed. There are a few errors, but overall, great job. Well done. So I hope this was useful to you. I certainly hope you find some use in this product. I would really like to thank Luke for creating this Mass Effect 5e supplement. You did a great job. I'm quite impressed. I want to thank my patrons. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s. Okay, all right. I guess it's time to start looking at this thing, but I will just pop up the chat so that I can see what's going on here. We've got Fred Huber. How you doing? Nice to have you. And Big Kid. This is the setting I most want to run. I don't blame you. Look, it's a complete product. It's got everything. Like they haven't missed anything. You literally could just use this book and nothing else, and you'd be fine. Arson sounds good. Good. Love fire. Okay, all right. Why not? Yeah, sure. That'll work for you. How you doing, Carell? Look, I feel like it's definitely worth a download. Definitely worth a download. Check it out. See what you think. But I'm going to show you this document in a second. I'm just trying to pull up the chat in my phone, which who knows how well that will work. We'll see. But anyway, let's transfer over to, now that I got my phone going and I can see the chat and it looks like it's mostly up to date. Let's go and have a look at this document and see what it's like. 256 pages. There's no way I can really go through this in detail. It would take way too long. I don't think I could cope. So I won't be doing that. But I will be going through the document. Okay. All right. So let's jump over to here. If it's not big enough, it probably won't be big enough. I'll probably have to scroll it, size it up a bit to make this work. So we'll do that. We'll size it up so that we can get a little bit better view. Now, there's no cover artwork for this. I don't think that's a big issue myself. You know, cover artwork is nice. Clearly, it's unofficial. And then scrolling down, this is our table of contents. So you've got a section for your introduction, basic how the rules work, setting up a character, so basically character building from level 1. You've got your different races laid out, your classes, your personality and background stuff. That's all there. You've got an equipment section, your customizing options. So in other words, you can multi-class. There are feats included in that section as well, as you would expect. Using ability scores, goes through all the information you would need. As I said, this is a complete document. And you can see this is the sort of thing that tends to happen. We see some sort of printing issues where maybe it hasn't been cut down to the right size, and you get some text on the side. Maybe that's because of me when I was downloading. I don't know, but I did notice this. Missions. So missions is really about your adventuring process. So it talks about time, movement, the environment, social interactions, resting between missions, all the things you would find in the player's handbook for D&D 5e. Combat spelled out, how to do that. That's on foot. And then we have vehicles. Now, vehicle combat, upgrades, how systems and crews work, travel, variant roles, and you also, of course, got to get some different types of transport and some starships, because that's what you need to have. If you're going to play this game, you're going to have some starships. Spell casting, so that's all covered as well, and a list of spells. Not as big as the player's handbook, but this is for a particular campaign. And then we have a lot of appendices. Now, the appendices is where you will find all the armor sets, all the armor modifications, the weapon modifications. You can have grenades, mines, and as it happens, I think what has happened here is it should continue on into the bestiary section, but it doesn't. It's sort of got cut off somehow in terms of the layout. So there are additional sections. So even though you see appendices and it goes to appendices E, it continues on. It doesn't stop. Okay, we have the licensing for this. So when I see licensing for these things, it's obviously done in not intended to make money. Okay, so they've put that in there, and then we'll just scroll down, get past all of that. And then we go into our introduction. So this is laid out exactly like the player's handbook. So it does an introduction, explains how to play a role-playing game. They give you an example, but using Mass Effect. So really what they've done is they've just modified it for the campaign setting, but it's essentially the player's handbook, along with a whole lot of other stuff. Okay, exploring the universe. Gives you a little bit of information around the Andromeda Galaxy. So if you wanted to have that, it's all there. The role of the Game Master and the player. And then we get into dice mechanics and using dice. So rolling a d20, how that works, adding modifiers, all the sorts of things you would expect, difficulty class, advantage and disadvantage. And they've even decided to not keep the original dice. They've taken them out and they've put in some hand-drawn dice. In this case, specific roles, rounding down, missions, 3 pillars of missions rather than adventuring. So you've got social interaction, combat, and exploration. Those are the pillars. And then we go into character creation, and it's laid out exactly. It's very, very familiar. Hello, Phil. How are you doing? Nice to have you here. So selecting a race, picking a class, deciding on your level based on what experience you've got, determining hit points, proficiency bonuses. Yes, there are proficiency bonuses. It is very much, as I said, based on the 5e system. It all looks very similar. The only difference is it's designed for science fiction and Mass Effect. And then you've got all the section. This is all reasonably, you will notice there's not a lot of artwork. Artwork has been used very sparingly. It's quite clear why the page count is only 253 pages. It's because they haven't really gotten crazy about putting artwork in there. There's not a lot of it. Okay. So moving along from here, this is all the stuff around ability modifiers. And then they give you sort of a step-by-step how you go about making a character, selecting equipment. So they walk you through that process, just as you would normally see. They even go and explain very briefly about tiers of play, which you've seen before. And then we go into races. So this is the section where there's a lot more artwork and there's a lot of options. I mean, there's a lot of races to put into one book, frankly. So I'm not going to go through them in too much detail. I might pick out some pertinent bits and pieces as we go. I might just magnify this a little bit more too. So this is what I mean by sometimes there are sort of hand-drawn pencil drawings that aren't sort of complete, that have been included as artwork. We have the Angara, and I think the standout feature is probably the bioelectric focus, where you can cast a first level version of Shocking Grasp without expending a spell slot. So some of the psychic powers or powers that you had in Mass Effect are duplicated by the spells. That's what the spells section is all about. Starting credits, which is quite useful to have. I don't often see that in a race. So that's nice to have. And then we have Bioelectric Ward, increase your armor class by 1. You have resistance to lightning damage. So this is to sort of duplicate some of there's energy shields in this game, okay? Solar dependency, if you fail to immerse yourself in sunlight for at least 1 hour during a day, you suffer 1 level of exhaustion at the end of the day. Interesting idea. And we have survival too. So you have the knack for living in harsh environments. So you're proficient in survival, the survival skill. I'm not going to talk about the other things. They're pretty basic stuff. Okay. And then it does give you an increase to your ability score. So charisma and constitution. Okay, next. We have this one. This is the Assari. And the Assari has, where is it? There's some variants here. I don't know if we're going to go over the variants. We'll see about that. Starting credits again. I'm going to explain that. That's not very exciting, is it? But we have innate bionics. So they do require bionic implants to control their abilities, and instead their bionic talents rely on their ability to project their will onto the world. As an Assari, you use your charisma wherever a spell refers to your spell casting ability. In addition, you use your charisma modifier when setting the saving throw DC for a biotic spell that you cast. So, great. And then we've got Mind Meld. You can transfer and receive thoughts to another creature. You must concentrate, and if the creature is not willing, the thoughts become jumbled and disjointed. So unintelligent creatures have unpredictable results. And then we have Natural Diplomats. You have proficiency and persuasion skill. So all trying to sort of feed off what you might be familiar with from the Mass Effect game. And there's a variant for Mind Break and Dominate, which I'm not going to go into. If you're interested, you'll chase it up. Okay, next, the Veteran. And what have we got here? So we get some increases to Constitution Charisma for them. And then our basic features are 4 eyes. You have proficiency in perception skill, makes sense, and you take the search action as a bonus action on each of your turns. So this is one character that would probably find it much easier to find invisible enemies. For those of you who are unaware, like taking the search action in combat is usually a very poor choice, because you can only really determine so much that way. I've never particularly liked it as a way of determining it. A lot of people ignore it anyway. Saving face. They are very careful not to show weakness in the front of their allies for fear of losing status. If you miss with an attack roll or fail an ability check or a saving throw, you can gain a bonus to the roll equal to a number of your allies you can see, a maximum bonus of +5. Once you use this trait, you can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest. And then we have Shrewd Negotiator to gain proficiency in Insight or Intimidation, depending on which one you want. So there we go. And then the Drill, Drell, is it Drell? It might be Drell, actually. And then we go down here, and what do we get? Increased dexterity and wisdom. And then we get, no, don't worry about starting credits. We're not really worried about that. But we have, is it Editect memory? I'm not sure what that, Editect memory. What the hell is that? You can recall memories in intricate detail, including details from all your senses. Distant or inconsequential memories require a DC 14 wisdom check. On a fail, you can only recall details from one or two senses. So in other words, consider this keen mind, but with a bit more mechanical aspects tied to it. Natural hunters, you gain proficiency with 2 of the following skills of your choice: athletics, perception, stealth, or survival. Raw agility, your reflexes and agility allow you to move with a burst of speed. When you move on your turn in combat, you can double your speed until the end of the turn. Once you use this trait, you can't use it again. Once you use this trait, you can't use it again until you move 0 meters on one of your turns. In other words, you've got to stay still to recharge it. So you could keep it using it in a combat if it's a long combat. The Alcor. Now the Alcor, what have we got here? So increased strength and wisdom. Okay. And then what do we got here in terms of careful? You have proficiency in insight and perception. Quadrupedal, so you count as one size larger than normal, and that'll probably give you the sort of standard sort of benefits that you would expect. We have the shoulder mounts. Your ranged weapons are shoulder mounted to your armor or in a holster and use a VI to aim. So basically you've got some assistance when you're firing. When you make a ranged weapon attack, use your intelligence modifier instead of your dexterity modifier. You can have one ranged weapon mounted on each shoulder. Mounting a ranged weapon requires you to be proficient with the weapon type and take at least 10 minutes of work during a short or long rest. So you can mount them on your shoulder if you want to be like the Predator. Anyway, thick hide. So your armor class, your base armor class is 12, and you determine your armor class using your constitution modifier instead of your dexterity modifier. Well, let's really change this. This you're going to have to play this very differently to what you're used to. Psionics are magic. Apparently everybody believes that psionics is magic. And they're gone with this approach here, which is fine. The Gith. So the Gith, they get an increase to their intelligence and their strength. They have no feats, so Gith can't take any feats. I love it. It's going to be super unpopular. I think it's hilarious. Can you imagine a race that says you cannot take feats? Living construct. You are immune to psychic and poison damage, the poison condition and disease. So these are things you don't have to deal with anymore. You do not need to eat, drink, or breathe. When you take a long rest, you must spend at least 6 hours in inactive, motionless state rather than sleeping. Okay, in the state you appear inert, but it doesn't render you unconscious. You can see and hear as normal. So this is hilarious. You do get a lot. Let's get real. That's a lot. But I can see a few people being very upset by the fact you can't take a feat. Good sense of humor there. And there are some variants, which I won't go over. We're just going to keep moving down. And that was, did I miss anything? No, I didn't. Okay, Hanah. The Hanah. What is the Hanah? Why do I feel like I'm constantly playing with my ears? Because I am. Next. Down. Here we go. This is it. Hanah. So they get to increase their wisdom and their charisma. And they have a swimming speed of 10 meters. So that's what is that going to be in feet? That's going to be an interesting calculation. We've gone from this person is not from North America. This person has definitely gone metric. They've got to be from somewhere else in the world. All right, I like metric. I do. But if my game system is based on feet, it's a little bit confusing when we start looking at squares. Anyway, amphibious. You can breathe both air and water. contragravitum and gravitic levitation, or whatever it's supposed to say. When not in water, you use a contragravitic levitation pack to move. Oh, so you got a jet pack basically. It provides a walking speed of 10 meters, though you can actually hover 1 or 2 meters from the ground. Okay, you are immune to becoming prone, and you ignore any penalties caused by difficult terrain. Well, because you've got a jetpack. However, when you suffer a critical hit, you must roll a d20. On a 1 or a 2, the device malfunctions and you fall on the ground. Your walking speed becomes 0 and you are considered prone. And you could have also potentially died. You and other creatures can use an action to repair the pack with a successful DC 15 intelligence engineering check. So basically they're saying engineering. And okay, so bioluminescence, you can shed dim light in a 10-meter radius. Well, that's pretty good. You've got it attached to you. You are the light. Campaign to mess with the players. We start at the Gith factory where no breathing creature can survive. Yeah. Fragile. Your hit point maximum is decreased by 1. Every time you gain a level, you gain 1 less hit point. This is going to be super popular too. I can see it. Tentacles. You have 6 tentacles instead of arms. They can grip tightly, but can lift anything heavier than a few can't lift anything heavier than a few kilograms. Okay. Meaning you can only wield weapons with the light property. Oh my gosh. Okay. As an action, you can use one of your tentacles to try to grapple a creature. Each one is also a natural weapon, which you can use to make an unarmed strike. If you hit with it, the target takes bludgeoning damage equal to 1d6 plus your strength modifier. Well, they don't obviously believe that when you would make unarmed strikes, that you should wind up having just 1 plus your strength modifier, or even a d4 plus your strength modifier. Instead of the bludgeoning damage normal for an unarmed strike, immediately after hit, you try to grapple the target as a bonus action. Okay, so you can grapple as a bonus action. As an action, you can secrete a natural toxin from one of your tentacles. If a creature is grappled by the tentacle, it must succeed on a DC 11, which is pretty bloomin' low. It's way too low. DC 11's rubbish. Constitution saving throw, or becomes poisoned for 1 hour. The DC of the saving throw increases with your level. So DC 13 at 5th level. Oh my god, you got to be kidding. By then it should be at least a DC 14 really. And then DC 15 at 11th level, that's not going to work. DC 17 at 17th level. Okay, made it too easy to avoid getting poisoned, if you ask me. But that would be my assessment. Human. I don't expect anything amazingly different from the human. I think it's going to be pretty much the same, although humans here seem to last a lot longer. 125 years to 150 years, really. And it looks like it's pretty much the same. It's like the variant human, essentially. Okay, moving on. Grogan, which I was always very fond of, the Grogan. It's like the Kurgan from the Highlander, but the Grogan is it's not the Kurgan. Anyway, Blood Rage. When you kill an enemy, you can use a bonus action to enter a mindless Blood Rage. Blood Rage lasts for 1 minute or until you end it as a bonus action. For the duration, you must move towards and attack an enemy on your turn, and you cannot concentrate on spells. So you can spell cast. There you go. While in Blood Rage and immune to being charmed or frightened, you can gain temporary hit points equal to your Constitution modifier at the start of each of your turns. When Blood Rage ends, you lose any remaining temporary hit points from the Blood Rage. You must finish a long rest, not a short rest, a long rest before you can enter a Blood Rage again. So you can only do it once, and it's going to be once a day sort of thing, Blood Rage. Okay, cool. All right, and then we have extreme morpholial, whatever that is. Okay, the body is naturally acclimatized to living in the harshest environments. You have advantage on Constitution saving throws to resist exhaustion due to environmental hazards such as extreme heat or cold. Additionally, you can go twice as long without food or water before you suffer exhaustion. Okay. Menacing. Yeah, so you're going to be proficient in intimidation. That makes a lot of sense since they are very, very bulky and intimidating. Powerful build. So we get the powerful build and we get toughness. So this one's loaded up with feats built into the class. And you get to increase your constitution and strength. What a surprise. Okay. So rather than try to read through all of these, because I'm only on page 31 and there are 253 pages, people. So I'm probably gonna zap on past a few of these things. It feels like there was supposed to be a piece of artwork here, and it's not there. Prothean, the Prothean. So this is the Prothean. Is this the Prothean? Really? I feel like Seeker Swarm. No, maybe that's the Prothean. Lots of different features. So what do we get here? You get your wisdom and your dex increased. All-seeing eyes. You have 4 eyes. Look in multiple directions and have a nascent ability to see cloaked objects. Oh, so there you go. You can see invisible creatures. You have true sight up to 10 meters and proficiency and perception. Holy Toledo. Quad strad DNA. Your unique quad strad DNA helps you protect you against radiation and cold. You have radiant and cold damage resistance. Psychometry. This is a real word, not a real word, not really. While in physical contact with a creature or object, you can recall its experiences. If you touch an object or a creature and concentrate on it for 1 minute, you learn a few basic facts about it. You gain a mental image from the object or creature's point of view, learning of any events that have occurred within 10 meters of the object or creature within the last 24 hours. Well, that could be interesting. If in contact with the object, you can see the last creature to hold the object regardless of how long ago it was last handled. This ability may only be used once per long rest. So it's a one-use thing. What do you got here? You guys are chatting along here. You're in the 10 by 10 airlock with about 2 hours of air left. What do? You're going to die. Teleport without error back home. Exactly. Don't ask silly questions. The Quarian. So let's have a look at what they are. What do they get? Now, I could be reading out the descriptions of these things, but look, I'm going to leave you guys to do that. There's plenty of information on them here. So, your ability scores, intelligence and dex are going to be going up. You have the hermetic suit. Your suit is your lifeblood and consists of reinforced skin-tight bodysuit and a helmet. It makes you immune to disease and provides resistance to poison and necrotic damage. However, you are always at risk. If you are a victim of a critical hit that deals puncture or slashing damage, in other words, piercing damage, your suit becomes breached. As an action, you must spend 1 Omnigel to seal your suit. Now, for those of you who don't know what an Omnigel is, I'm not going to go into detail, but there are such things. You have 3 Omnigels as part of the starting equipment. So you can repair, if you need to, 3 punctures. So 3 critical hits and you're going to be out of Omnigel. Okay. For each hour in which you have a breach in your suit, you suffer 1 level of exhaustion. For each hour you spend outside of your suit, if not in a compatible environment, you suffer 3 levels of exhaustion. You could die very quickly. That won't be fun. What else do we get here? We got some cybernetic enhancements. We got some some things you get to choose. You get to choose whether you want to have some mind shielding units or scientific aptitude, or you want to make yourself a little bit stronger or peak fitness. overclock unit. There's a few things. Keen eyesight, clarity unit, dark vision. Lots of things to select from. Cool. Hello, Nacho Man. I am going through Mass Effect. And very slowly, and I'm almost 40 minutes in, and I'm not going to go for more than an hour. There's no way I can deal with that. So we get to, what do we get? Bump up our intelligence, get to bump out our dexterity, and then what do we get? We're amphibious, so we can breathe air and water, and high speed metabolism, so you don't need to sleep for as long as other races. So basically it looks to me like it operates a bit like the elf, but not exactly the same. Instead, their unique biology requires that they only need to sleep for 1 hour a day to gain the same benefit that a human does for 8 hours of sleep. Because of this, the Solarians only need 4 hours for a long rest. Okay, it is basically the elf ability. Yep. Photographic memory. Whenever you make a intelligence, engineering, electronics, history, or science check to recall information, add twice your proficiency bonus, even if you are not proficient in that skill. Oh my, good lord. Okay. Twice as bright. You gain proficiency in 2 skills of your choice and 2 skills or kits of your choice. Whoa. Okay. So you get 2 additional proficient skills and 2 toolkits or kits. 2 tools or kits. Wow. You are the right one, aren't you? Okay. The Taurian. So, by the way, Fred Huber is a patron. So is Big Kid, and also a moderator, if it wasn't obvious. And Nacho Man is also a patron. Thank you for supporting me. I should have said that earlier. Why did I forget? It's because it's early for me, and I'm usually not doing a live stream at about 10 o'clock. All right, here we go. Moving down. So we get to bump up for our Taurian. We get to bump up our Constitution and our Dex and our Strength. Okay, spread it across them all. And so what do we get? What does it do? Esprit de Corps. Your military training has taught you to work seamlessly as part of a team. You have advantage on attack rolls against a creature that is at least one of you. If at least one of your allies is within 2 meters of the creature and the ally isn't incapacitated. Core Blimey. You are proficient in the athletics skill and 1 additional weapon. Assault rifle, heavy pistol, melee, shotgun, SMG, and sniper rifle. The additional weapon training proficiency is not limited by your selected class. Okay. Thulium skin. Resistance to radiant damage and immune to disease caused by radiation. Interesting. Okay. Cool. This is this one. And we're moving on. Are we getting closer to the end? We are, in terms of the races. That doesn't mean that we are even remotely through this document. I can tell you that now. Oh, we have a few people here. My chat is not keeping up with me. I do apologize for that. So Ruxer Zero's just dropped in. Thank you for raiding me, Ruxer Zero. I do appreciate it. How are you doing, Ruxer? Hopefully you're doing well. What have you got here? Yes, you have raided me. Well done. I spent most of the time in the Mass Effect video game trying to sleep with my crewmates. Yes, and I was trying to come up with a suitable meme for Mass Effect regarding the fact that you spent so much time trying to romance and get in bed with some of the other characters, and it seemed to be a huge part of the game. And I'm not saying it was bad as far as I'm concerned. I was all good with that. Nacho Man is a bard, maybe. James T. Kirk, you're playing. Yeah, it's like playing James T. Kirk. Yeah, exactly. You're doing okay? Good, awesome. Repel those borders. let's continue on. So this looks like an armored Ewok, the Volis. So let's go down and have a look at the armored Ewok. And that is, I'm playing with your people. I'm going to probably offend somebody. They're going to leave. Wisdom, intelligence, going to go getting bumped up. We have Fury of the Small, which is very appropriate. When you damage a creature with an attack or a spell, the creature's size and the creature's size is larger than yours, which is going to be probably quite a lot of the time by the looks of it, potentially, because your size is small. You can cause the attack or spell to deal extra damage to the creature. The extra damage equals your level. Once you use this trait, you can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest. Okay, well, hopefully you get to make short and long rests. This is another suit thing. I'm not going to read this out because it looks like it's pretty much the same. Basically, don't get your suit punctured, otherwise bad things are going to happen. It's a little bit different to the other one, but I'm not going to go over it. Lucky, basically get the lucky feat as far as I can tell, and so savvy dealings. So persuasion is now a proficient skill. Okay, okay. I'm gonna bust on past some of these here. Looks really cool, whatever this is, but I'm not going to read through it. We're going to move on to classes, okay? So these are the classes. You get the Adept, Engineer, Infiltrator, Sentinel, Soldier, Vanguard. All the sorts of things you would normally get in Mass Effect, the video game. And it gives you a nice rundown of the sort of things you get. It's broken up weapons into pistols and melee and all that sort of stuff. So we're going to see that. There's a complete table for that. It's literally like the player's handbook for Mass Effect, okay? Open all airlocks and then open fire. Yes, yeah. There's a lot of work that's gone into this, and they didn't make a cent. They didn't make any money off this for 253 pages of design work, and they didn't make a cent because they couldn't. So this, what does this do? Looks to me, so we get a barrier. It's probably some sort of shield barrier for the Adept. Biotic recovery, so that sounds interesting. We get some spells, cantrips, barrier tricks, barrier uses, okay. Limited resource, signature bionics, bionic mastery. So it sounds like bionics is a big factor, and psychic powers, which is basically spell casting in this case. Okay, and we're going to just whittle on down here. I'm not going to go through all of these because there's no way I can read all these things off. There just won't be time, and we're running out. Okay, so what's next here? No. Keep going. Okay, engineer. Here we go. Here's the engineer, and the engineer. If we have a look at maybe the table, it's probably going to give us a nice quick rundown. Oh, get a drone. Seriously? You can summon a drone? The engineer... Well, I suppose an engineer should be able to summon a drone, correct? Guess what? I have a familiar, and it's my drone. Anyway, let's have a look at what they've got here. You get tech points, tech point limit... So drone, engineer's efficiency. So I'm assuming that means you're better at doing engineering. Recharge, whatever that means. Another recharge feature, And then we have invention, or can you invent stuff? Mastermind. Masterminds are highly intelligent and skilled individuals. So this must be a subclass. That is a subclass to it. Okay, so this engineer's efficiency. Starting at 3rd level, you are able to optimize a basic tech spell. Okay, so this basically makes your spell casting or your psychic stuff a bit more powerful. And recharge, small reserve battery for your Omni tool. For those of you who don't know, Omni tools were pretty important in Mass Effect, and this is definitely related to that. And an invention, so at level 20, you create an invention. Work with your GM to decide what that invention should be. Some ideas include a drone upgrade, weapon, armor, shield upgrades, a new spell, an improved Omni tool battery. So, yes, why not? It's the geek. And for those of you who wanted to make something new, you can. Okay, we won't go through that subclass. Drone jockey? Really? Drone bond and drone companion. So the engineer has an animal companion as well. They got an animal companion as well, basically your drone. And oh god, that is so funny. Oh dear. They've got a lot of information on how it works too. There's a lot of stuff going on there. I think it's going to be worthwhile to have your drone, your animal companion, or so your drone companion. I think that's going to be fairly popular. Repair drone. Okay, so you can have a repair drone. Oh, okay. All right. Medic. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. So these are just the variants, I believe. Advanced repair drone. All right. Assault drone, combat. Oh, you can have a defense drone. You got a lot of choices. You got a disruption drone, recon drone, rocket drone. I didn't even pay attention to these things before. The infiltrator. Oh dear. Is Wally having a live stream game today? Okay, so there's a little bit of a problem. So I'm going to just pull myself away from this document for a second just to explain what's happened. So today there was absolutely supposed to be a live stream, and I was going to be taking this live stream and promoting it here and on my channel. It was intended to raise funds for cancer, since Gonzo from Dungeon Class is no longer with us, and we were going to do it really to help create awareness, particularly since cancer is what took Gonzo. And unfortunately, there was the intention that at about 2 o'clock my time, or 5 o'clock in Los Angeles or Pacific Standard Time, whatever it is, and then Mountain Daylight Time was going to be 6 o'clock, and then 7 o'clock Chicago or Central Daylight Time, and then East Coast Miami, Florida was going to be 8 p.m. We were going to do a live stream, okay? The only problem is, unfortunately, Wally got sick, and he's contracted something that's pretty bad, and because he's got asthma, I did not want him to push himself to go and try to do a live stream. It's really, really frustrating, but we've got to look after Wally, and so we're going to have to postpone it. We are going to do it at some point, but we can't do it today, and I was going to let people know about that. But yeah, so if you're asking about that, Wally was supposed to have a live stream today, Nacho Man, and it was supposed to be covering a lot of different things, but we just can't do it, unfortunately, because he's not well. Okay? No, it's not space AIDS. Don't go there. Yeah, so look, the last time Wally had something like this, it almost killed him. So I'm hoping, crossing my fingers, that he manages to get through this, because it was rough last time. It really was bad. How many people saw the early 1980s Disney The Black Hole? Yes, Fred Huber, I did. I watched it. It always struck me as being odd. It had elements of being outside of the realm of like crazy cool, and also corny as hell and quite silly. But there are some aspects that just made it feel like felt like a horror story. It definitely, like, Disney made this, really? And then they'd have some sort of funky sort of kiddie thing going on here that was a little bit like an old Western. It was really odd. And anyway, but yes, I do remember that movie. And I don't have a copy of it, which sucks. I'm a physical media person, people, because I don't believe that I'm going to be able to buy those movies or get access to those movies eventually. Not with the streaming nonsense that goes on. Anyway, so the Infiltrator, this class looks like it does a lot of spell casting. Let's go down and have a look. So we have Tactical Cloak, Expertise, sounds very similar. Sneak Attack, it's basically a rogue. It's a rogue, isn't it? What's this? Tell Wally hot tea with lemon and honey can't hurt. It might make him feel better. I think he's going to need something a lot stronger than that. So yes. Okay, cunning action, combat power. So all of these look very roguelike. Uncanny dodge, evasion. Yeah, it's the rogue stuff. Reliable talent, blind sense. Okay, slippery mind, elusive, and stroke of luck. It's a version of the rogue from D&D, but it's called the Infiltrator. Okay, I'm not going to go over that. That looks like that's pretty much the same old stuff, so we're just going to skip on past that. Although the subclass, the Shadow, looks like it might be a bit more interesting. Overwatch, Shadow Strike, Careful Eyes, Melee Prowls, Silent Cloak, up close and personal, Sniper, Death Strike, Steady Aim. Feels like a assassin rogue a little bit. What's this? I have a 27-gallon, 10-litre tubs of DVDs. I believe you. I have my whole lounge is full of shelves with DVDs and Blu-rays. I have a lot of movies. Anyway, so Saboteur, so you can be a Saboteur. Ooh, nice. Now, the Sentinel, which I like playing the Sentinel in Mass Effect quite a lot. So what do we have here? This looks like it's a fighter. But you do have spellcasting abilities as well. My gosh. Barrier, cantrips, known spell slots, spell level. So your spell level's not that high. It almost seems like a combination of the Warlock in some respects. So we get barrier, tech, armor, fighting style, quick cast. Oh, really? Like quick and spell? No, quick cast. L5T implant. L5T implant level 3, level 4, level 4. That's got to be an error, right? Why would you have no? Oh, it's a second. It'll be a second one probably. Level 5. Reset. Interesting. So some sort of shielding ability, sniper abilities. Okay. Brawler. There's different fighting styles there. You've got a few different things to pick from. Nice. Protection, sniper, assault, brawler, carnage, close quarters shooter. Oh, that'll be fun. Gunslinger and the free hand. All right, next subclass. We won't go through that. We're going to run out of time. There are some nice pieces of artwork in here, by the way. And I think a lot of it might have actually been ported out of the video game. Well, that's my suspicion. The Guardian, I'm not going to go through the Guardian too much unless I can see a table that sort of runs it down for me. Oh, Soldier. Here we go. Soldier. So Soldier's fighting style, Adrenaline Rush. I suspect Adrenaline Rush is like the, what do you call it? Second Wind. Probably that. And then we have Tactical Reload. Indomitable. Yeah, it's like the fighter. Indomitable again. Adrenaline Rush and Extra Attack. Oh, okay. Okay, all right. The capstone's not that exciting. Yeah, additional action. It is basically the fighter. It is the fighter. And we have a subclass for that. And then we have the Vanguard, which I'm assuming is a spellcaster, and it is. It's probably like the Wizard. So we get Barrier, Fighting Style, Danger Sense, Zero Sum, Extra Attack. Maybe it's not. It's its own thing. Tactical Barrier, Brutal Critical, Heavy Barrier, Brutal Critical. Well, we know what Brutal Critical does. Retaliation, not sure what that does. Brutal Critical. And Primal Bionics. I'm kind of curious what Primal Bionics is like. What's that like? So at level 20 for this thing, your strength and constitution, yeah, it's the Barbarian. So it's a combination of a Spellcaster and a Barbarian. For those of you who want to play a Spellcaster and a Barbarian at the same time, well, you can. And it's called the Vanguard. It's called the Vanguard. All right, Battle Master. Yep, so we've got Battle Master. Yeah, it'll all be very much the same, I'm sure. I'm going to skip past this because we're only on page 71. Right, so personality backgrounds. This looks like they've taken, they really have taken the whole layout and the information from the player's handbook, taken it quite seriously, and they've just ported everything they thought they needed to have there into it. That's what they've done. Oops, caps. Looks like eek, eek. No, it's massive. Eek. What's eek? You tell me what eek is. I don't know what eek is. Eek. EK? What's EK? This is Mass Effect, man. Mass Effect. Going down, going down. Okay, so we've got all of this. This is all pretty standard stuff. We've seen all this before. A little bit of different artwork, backgrounds, into backgrounds we go. I'm not going to go over the artisans. Look, the renowned among peers feature for the Addison looks a lot better. I actually think that's not bad. I'm just looking at the fact that you can actually get credits per day for this. That's really quite cool. I think that's better than the one in the player's handbook for D&D. That's not a good sign. Political connections for the bureaucrat. What do you get? You know, your knowledge of how bureaucratic functions lets you gain access to records and inner workings foremost in government. It sounds like the Sage in many respects. A little bit like the Sage. There is an alternative feature as well. Detail orientation. Okay, so that's an expansion on that a little bit. Okay, cool. All right, let's keep going. I'm glad to see that they have still retained in the backgrounds personality traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws. Well done. Well done. I don't think Wizards of the Coast is going to do that, but we'll see. You never know. Feature for the colonist. Colony's bond. While you're within your colony, you find a place to hide and rest. Basically, this is a place to stay. We've seen this one before. We don't need to go over that one. The crewman transports passage. So if you need passage on a starship, which is always going to be very useful, absolutely. This also feels like the sailor. It feels a bit like the sailor. Yeah, no, I'm really hoping Wally gets better. Oh, the Eldritch Knight. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, could well be. Could well be. All right. Let's keep rolling through here. The criminal contact, I think it's going to be pretty much the same as we've seen before. Although it feels like it's sort of cut off. They've kept it, it's one sentence. Okay, that's it. One sentence. Okay, all right, cool. All right, let's keep going. The doctor. So home calls. Really? That's the feature? Your talent makes you highly sought after, particularly in regions or communities with little access to medicine. Those who recognize you as a doctor may require your services. You may offer you a reward in return should you choose to provide services for them. You may be able to receive a free or discount food or lodging. Oh, come on, I'm not going to pay you. You get free food and lodging. It's house calls, but it's still a place to stay. Oh, that is so funny. Entertainer. Okay, by popular demand. I like the names of these features. It's just maybe the features about the same old thing. Anyway, you can always find a place to perform. Oh, here we go. It's a place to stay again, isn't it? You get to perform and you get free lodging and food if you put on a concert. Oh, no. Oh, dear. All right. Well, I guess that's something. Can't I make a bit of extra cash? Can't I get something else out of it? Feature. Escort. Seduces wild. Is this a prostitute? Is this what we got here? It's a prostitute. Your experience with a variety of races have taught you how to use your tempting looks and fighting attitude to bring anyone of either gender into your pride. It's a prostitute. I can't believe they did this. I mean, it's definitely a thing that you would have in Mass Effect, but there's no way that somebody like Wizards of the Coast could ever do this. This is clearly, like, I can see now that there are definitely people who've brought these in from other people. So there's definitely other contributors. It's not just Luke. Oh, this is funny as... I don't want to read the rest of it because I won't be able to do it without pissing myself with laughter. And then we have an alternative feature, which is unrequitant love. I don't know. Can I read that without breaking out into humorous mirth? At some point in your service, a patron became obsessed with you, expressing his undying love and vowing to protect you at all costs. Whenever you are in need, you can request this patron's aid, as long as you feign reciprocal feelings that will. Oh no! Ah, it's like the Days of Our Lives manipulation thing. Oh my gosh! I think the first one was more funny, but oh my, the other one is just twisted. Very Mass Effect experiment. Oh, do you want to play a hooker in a role playing game? Yeah, hookers and blackjack RPG. Yeah, experiment. Oh my gosh. Feature, what doesn't kill you? Okay, you were the subject of an experiment in your youth with the goal of stripping away the old you and turning you into a weapon. Okay, it's Jason Bourne. The program you could have been funded by for your race and government or shadow organization or a single mad scientist who kidnapped you. It could have had the goal of turning you into the ultimate soldier, perhaps an unrivaled bionic, or even a genius tech engineer. Could be anything. Regardless of the program's nature or success, you survived your difficult trials and came out tougher. You have been pushed to the edge of death before, so it doesn't scare you. Once per long rest, you can choose to make a death saving throw with advantage due to your strong drive to survive. Okay, that's new. That's different. That is new. That's definitely different. We haven't seen that before. Okay, faction agent. I'm not even going to read that because faction agent, there's already a faction agent. It's probably exactly the same, just tailored and flavored for Mass Effect and a science fiction world. The correct class for Acquisitions Incorporated. Hooker. Run of the random monsters. Okay. All right, let's keep going. We have pilot, which basically it sees you are an artist in the pilot seat, giving you the following benefits based on your selected proficiencies. Your ship's range is increased by 1. Your far travel. Oh my gosh, you've got quite a lot of stuff that potentially you could pick up. That's pretty cool. They've done a really nice job with that. I'm not going to read all that out, but yeah, so you definitely get some cool stuff. All right, what else? The scholar. I feel like the scholar is just the researcher. We've seen the scholar before. We don't have to go over that. We're just going to just buzz on past that. My head is starting to expand, so I'm going to take the hat off. Sorry, people. You have to deal with the hair. Scraper. Another alien trash. What? This is the feature for the scraper? You see value in mechanical junk, broken machines, and antiquated equipment. Sometimes you can repair an item to working conditions and sell it to a collector for a profit. Now we're talking. You have connections, knowledge to collectors that you're done. Okay. Encyclopedic knowledge. Okay, about gear, weapons, devices contain valuable. All right. So it's basically a big, huge knowledge thing. And it says something about profit, but there's no sort of mechanics behind that. So hopefully your game master is up for that. System ops, basically catch-all term for people who monitor, maintain, and upgrade the different vital systems that support civilized life. Okay, all right. Traffic waste management. So all sorts of different. It'll be computers. It's computer systems. Yep, that's what that's all about. Okay, urchin, we don't need to read out urchin, it's the same. Veteran's probably going to be, it's basically this, it's basically soldier, isn't it? And they just haven't called it soldier because they've got soldier as a class. So that would explain a lot. Okay, and then moving down. Equipment. Now, can I just say the equipment chapter here is not the equipment chapter because this is nothing compared to what there is. This is all just very basic, what you would expect. Talks about different variants, matching stuff, breaks up your armor into different pieces, explains how different bits of armor will work, medium, heavy, light armor, all that sort of stuff. It's all covered. But the actual equipment is not here. And and they do the same thing with weapons. They explain how different weapons are used, thrown, versatile, recoil, reach, all that sort of stuff with weapons and mods and all that sort of stuff. But the actual gear is not in this chapter. It's at the back. And I know that sounds weird and strange, because it is a little bit weird, strange, because you would think you'd just stick it here, but they didn't. There's a lot of other additional information that's important here, and that covers things like, your Medigel, your Omni tool programs, stuff like that. Omnigel is a big factor, so that is all covered there because you use that stuff a lot. The toolkits are here though. So the different toolkits, so you get your armor smith bench, workbench. If you want to have a workbench, you can. Brewer's supplies, cooking utensils, chemist supplies, your disguise kit, your hacking tools for dealing with computers, medical kits, gaming sets, your musical instrument, your starship system. Yes, you can deal with that as well. Painter supplies, starship systems as well. And that's drive and the EWS. So there is a distinction, I believe. And that's the helm. So yeah, they've broken it up into a couple of different factions. Navigation weapons. So every part of the ship has a different function. Tailor's tools, Tinker's kit, Tinker's tools, Thieves' tools, of course. And then we go into weapons. So you didn't actually get all the equipment in this section. Okay. Then it goes over some additional information here around vehicles and how to deal with vehicles. It's general again, but the vehicles aren't here. It's more the expense, the basics, the gist of it. Service costs, same sort of thing you get in the player's handbook. And then we move on to customization. So if you're looking for equipment, you have to look at the back of the book or the back of the PDF to actually find it, because that's where it's been positioned. A little bit strange to have it there, but that's where they've put it. So customization, it explains how multi-classing works. Okay, there are restrictions and minimum scores, so it's not whatever you want. It's not, go bananas, here you go. You can do any sort of crazy stuff that makes everything, better than playing just a pure class. No, they're trying to tailor it to restrict abuses and looking for loopholes and exploitation of the system, which I think is a good thing. And really, D&D 5e should have done the same thing. But Dungeons and Dragons has always benefited from having loops and holes and things that can be exploited to break the game or just make the game pointless, because that's what a lot of nerdy people like to do. That's just the fact. So they talk about different feats, and then we go into feats here. I'm not going to talk about tech points because I'm not really that familiar with it. So I'm not going to go over the feats themselves. Most of them seem to be tailored to the setting, so they have similarities. They will look similar to some of the other feats, but some of them aren't. They are tailored specifically to that campaign world. Next, rules of play. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. You can see there's a bit of a mess here in terms of the layout and the print. But advantage, disadvantage, ability checks, skill checks, and they, of course, have broken it up. There's different, under intelligence, there's a few more skills than you might be familiar with, but it's very, very similar. You don't have animal handling, you have vehicle handling, okay? I think they could have just called it pilot and be done with it, but they didn't, okay? Anyway, group checks are covered, passive checks. This is why I was saying that this book is a complete system, and it doesn't require anything else. You could add additional stuff if you've got supplements, but everything you need is here, including the basic rules to 5e. All of that is included, and all the information you might require is sort of here. So in some respects, it kind of acts as a player's handbook and a dungeon master guide in many respects, because a lot of the things you require are included, even if they are at the back of the book. Okay. And I won't go over that too much. Okay, combat. Again, they break down combat, talk about combat here. There aren't a lot of differences to what you've already used to. I can assure you it's pretty much the same. Nothing hugely different. We do have reload though as an action that you may not be familiar with. So reload is a thing, and that's all pretty much the same. I don't think that changed anything. They haven't changed cover. Healing and damage is all pretty much the same as well. Yes, knocking out saving throws. He didn't change any of that. Shield points are a factor though. So shields will reduce incoming damage. So that's important to check out the rules for that, because you'll probably find that almost all characters have a shield of some kind. If you don't have a shield, you're usually dead. That's what I always found on Mass Effect. If you don't have a shield, you're dead. It doesn't take long to kill you. Yep. Remember, weapons in a science fiction world do a lot more damage. They will cut you in half fairly quickly. So vehicles, now this is just the general stuff. This is just the basics around how vehicle systems work, the information around them, and sort of a breakdown table. But the actual vehicles are not in this chapter, just all of the general stuff that you needed to know. And included in there is, as I said before, starship combat. So if you're into starship combat and you want to have starships, well, you can do that. And they break up the ship into different actions, different systems and places or stations that you can use. So, yeah, it gives people something to do. It's not just one person doing everything, which is always important if you can have a good system in place. Traveling, they talk about traveling in starships, and then you get your galaxy map. So if you wanted a map of the Mass Effect Andromeda galaxy, well, you've got one. I'm only on page 140 and I'm well over time. I'm going to keep going. Variant rules for navigation, variant rules for mining and probes, range. Okay, let's see if we get into now we're into vehicles. This is the vehicle stuff here. So you get pretty much every vehicle, the Mantis gunship, every vehicle you could imagine. They don't always have a picture of it, but pretty much everything you were looking for is probably going to be here. Okay, shuttles, starships. Of course, the starship that you want to be piloting that came from Mass Effect, it's included. It's in the game. It's all right. You'll find it. It'll be here. Don't know what happened to the artwork here, but it disappeared. And the collector's ship, Destiny, Assertion, Envoy class frigate, Dreadnought, more frigates, Nomad class frigate, yes, okay, a carrier, a Reaper capital ship. For those of you who want to deal with Reapers, I'm going to blow some Reaper ships to pieces. A Reaper destroyer, and just to whip past this. So yeah, you can grab a whole lot of different things. Lots of different options. Probably not everything under the sun you could imagine, but there's a lot there to work with, so you don't have to worry about that. Now, spells. The spells section is quite extensive. It goes over how spells work in this game. Okay, it's pretty much the same as it was before. It hasn't really changed. All of that is pretty much identical, if not exactly identical. It's just the spells themselves. And so they break it up. You don't get as many spells in this campaign world. There's a lot fewer spells. You don't have just a myriad of pages and pages, but it breaks up. And you can see just about every single class gets access to spells. So they're all spellcasters, or in other words, all psionic users. I guess that's the best way to put it. All psionic users. And then we get our various spells. We have AI Hack, Annihilation Field. We have the Backlash, the Alter, Center Mass. I'm not going to be going through all of these. There's too many. There's a lot of spells here. There's 80 spells, as I said. Ballistic Blades, Beehive, Barrier Detonation, Bionic Jump, BEC Field, Bionic Orbs. We have Bionic Wall, Bionic Punch, Bionic Slash, Bionic Blade Armor, Bionic Sphere, Concussion Shot, Catapult, Cryo Beam, Charge, Cryo Blast, dark channel, dark sphere, damp, decoy, dominate, defense matrix, electric slash, and it goes on. And I am just going to scroll through here, because if I try to name all these things, which you really don't need me to do, you know, let's see what else is in this document, because we're not even on page 200. This is part of the problem with a book that's trying to do everything. Okay, now armor suits are here. Okay, Appendix A, armor suits. This is where you're going to find all your armor, and there's a lot of armor to buy, and it has a cost for everything. So for those of you who have always been very upset with the fact that magic items and Dungeons and Dragons 5e do not have a price tag, you don't have to worry about that with Mass Effect, because the guys actually made sure that everything has a price tag. Everything can be purchased, even though some of the prices are horrendously high. You will need a lot of credits to be able to buy them. You still have a price beside everything. Nothing is something you will just have to find, although you could find them, but you can buy them. You just have to have the money, need to go to the right place, and you can buy your armor, whatever the heck it is that you want, including the modifications. Even the modifications for your armor include a price. So this is great for a game master who's actually allowing people to go and buy the stuff. They don't have to figure out all that stuff. It's all done for you, which is wonderful. Next, we're on to weapons, and they've done the same thing again. You get all the information around how weapons work, okay, how much damage they do, what range they have, but also how much they cost. And as I said, there's over 100 different types of armor. Yeah, 5e did mess up. Now, I understand why they were doing that. By leaving prices off, they made it clear to players when they bought a Dungeon Master Guide, which I don't know why they were buying a Dungeon Master Guide if they're just going to be a player. When they look through the magic items section, there's no point saying to a game master, can I go to the magic shop and buy some magic weapons or magic armor? Can I buy some magic stuff? I've got some money. How much will it cost? Oh, that's too much. Can I haggle them down to 5 gold because that's all I've got? So I understand why Wizards of the Coast did that. But it has created a few problems. Like anything, the Dungeon Master Guide is not a player resource. And anybody who picks up a Dungeon Master Guide or a Game Master Guide and sees prices and expects to buy the stuff, you need a good spanking, frankly. Stop that nonsense, okay? If the Game Master allows there to be shops, great. If they don't, just grow stronger skin. The rest of us have had to find stuff for years who've been playing role-playing games. So if you've been playing long enough, you know you just can't just walk up to buy stuff for always. Sometimes you just got to find it, and that's life. Okay, weapon mods. This is a problem with video games, and Mass Effect comes from a video game, so it makes sense to have prices there. So a lot of people are being like, okay, we're going to make enough money so I can buy this gear. So it's there. So you don't have to worry about that. Okay, and next, grenades and mines. So that's the weapons. There's a lot of weapons there. Grenades and mines. There's a huge section on this as well. So if you want to blow shit up, yeah, you can. Omni-tool programs. They cover all the different types of Omni-tool programs. Somebody's done a lot of research. They've really done their work. They must know Mass Effect back to front to be able to get all this down. It would have been horrendously difficult, time-consuming. They've even included the conditions. So you might have noticed that Appendix G was not listed in the contents page because it kind of got cut off. Well, here we are. We still have the conditions included, and they have put in frozen, so you can get frozen as a condition. They've got frightened, frozen, indoctrinated, which is basically don't deal with the Reapers. Reaper invasions are bad. Lifted, primed, and there's a few more. Was there a few more? Targeted, that's right. Okay, now we have a bestiary, Appendix H, which was not in the contents page. So you've got to realize that all the bestiary stuff is right at the back, and it's not obvious that it's there, unfortunately. So what have they done here? Well, they have everything from aliens to beasts to robots, you name it. It's all the things you might like. They've put them in here. I don't think that necessarily all of these are going to be combat worthy for you. I get the distinct feeling you might find that there's a big, huge jump. Because there aren't a lot of beasts and creatures compared to the monster manual, you may have to make up some of your own. You might have to use some creatures and beasts from other books. Maybe third-party Kobold Press and the Tome of Beasts 1, 2, 3, and maybe the Codex. Creature Codex might work for you. But anyway, the Blood Pack, and yeah, so most of the different threats you found in the video game are included here. And I'm just going to just scroll on through here. This is, what is this? These are the Blue Suns. Yep. Keep going. Blue Suns. There's a lot of variants for that. Cerberus, Assault Troops, and Centurion, Phantom Nemesis. Okay, and then we have Atlas, which is basically a mech suit. The Collectors, so for those of you who remember the Collectors, Seeker Swarms, the Seeker Plague, Collector Guardian, a lot more Collector stuff, lots of different variant things that are all related to the Collectors. Eclipse, Security Guard, so we don't just have the major threats, we have some of the support units or NPCs that you might come across, commandos. So the Gith, so if you're having to face off against the Gith, you got some stuff for the Gith and some troopers. And we're still not there. Well, we're getting closer, but not to the end. Mechs. So if you want mech suits, and robots. This is the robot section basically. It's a robot dog. Look at there, isn't that cute? Turrets and the YMIR mech. Looks very scary. The Ranchi soldiers. So basically these are bugs. Bug hunt time. And some of the Reapers. Okay, Abomination, Raven. So yeah, look, I'm going to say here, basically all the stuff that you would expect to be there is going to be there. They've taken the time to actually put as much as they possibly can in. So the bestiary's pretty big. It's pretty big. Anyway, my God. I spent way too long. That was an hour and 23 minutes. I suppose at least that's not an hour and a half of me talking about it. But that was a long time to be going over something like this. My suggestion to you is, if you want to play in a fantasy world, go download it. It's down in the description. It's free. Doesn't cost you a thing. It's not like it's a waste of your time to scroll on through and look at something that you might be able to use. And you don't have to pay for it. You don't have to support Wizards of the Coast. You don't have to support Kobold Press or Paizo or anybody else. Heck, you don't have to support nobody. But Luke's done a lot of work, and I would suggest go and check it out and see what you think. I honestly think that it's a pretty good supplement. We're starting to head into a lot of the 5e supplements, so for fan-made free supplements that are really dense. Like there's lots of information, they're very professional. I've been leaving them to the last, things that I wanted to talk about or cover, except for Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter was pretty extensive, but some of this other stuff coming in the future that I'll talk about is even more impressive than this book or the Monster Hunter that I was talking about in the past. So are you interested in sci-fi 5e tabletop role-playing games? So yes, 72%. Well, that's why you're here. Good. Undecided, 22%. No, 4%. Okay. It's fine. Out of 22 votes. Cool. Well, hopefully I've done my job. You've got the information that you need. I've shown you a whole lot of stuff. I honestly think, I never want to give somebody who's done something as a fan-made project and it's free. I don't want to ever give them a hard time about a product simply because they didn't get paid for it. Do you know what I mean? They did it for love. They didn't do it for money. They did it for love. And you gotta you got to give them some kudos for doing it for love, because that must have taken months, maybe years to put together. Would have taken so much time, hours and hours just to compile all of that. It's some crazy stuff. It really is. I'm going to say it right now. Sorry, we won't be doing the fundraiser for cancer on Wally DM's channel because Wally is really unwell, and I'm hoping he recovers without any huge problems, because I know last time he got really sick, it was not good. And this is one of those things that can certainly make him very, very sick. I'm not going to tell you what it is, so don't ask. In any case, that's it. We're done. Done for today. So I want to say a huge thank you to all of my patrons who support me on Patreon so I can keep doing this. I want to thank everybody who took part in the poll today, who's been watching and listening, everybody who's been commenting in the chat. If I did not respond to all of your comments, it's simply because I was trying to scroll through everything. It just took me a long time. Thank you to Fred Huber for being here. Phil, William, thank you for hanging out. We also had a couple of other people. Ruxa Zero, thank you for rating me and bringing along your audience for a little while. I do appreciate that. It's helpful. And Nacho Man, thank you to, who else was there that was here that I might have forgotten? There's probably somebody. Calrell, Big Kid, awesome. Thanks for hanging out. I will be back in 2 days, and we'll do some more stuff around adventures. Of course, we'll do some more stuff around adventures. That's the plan. So wherever you are in the world, whether it be the morning, the afternoon, the night, or the wee early morning, please look after yourself, your family, and your friends. Be nice to your neighbours, and hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s.